Today we're talking about the most effective firearm of all time. This episode shout out goes to Big Mike's Little Donuts outside of Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Ladies and gentlemen, the American grunt has had a love affair with the 12-gauge shotgun since World War I, where it was standard issue, as well as World War II and Korea. Then in Vietnam, they tried to quit making it standard issue because it wasn't lethal enough, at which point it became a standard practice for most grunts to actually bring their own personal shotguns from home and use that instead. Because, well, when the bushes start talking, you might as well hit all the bushes at once. If you don't know what I mean by that, I'll explain. Shotguns don't shoot bullets, they shoot shells. There's a lot of different types of shells, but today we're talking about double-aught buckshot, which is this right here. It's basically 9 ball bearings that when fired, they go fucking everywhere. It's like having 9 guys with muskets fire in a general direction all at once. As you can imagine, having a ball bearing cannon would be extremely effective in close quarters. That is why they were originally issued in World War I, because World War I was primarily fought inside of trenches, which was an extremely narrow pathway in the ground. Now, World War I was also extremely brutal because it was the first time the bad guys had ever brought things like flamethrowers and mustard gas to the world stage. Now, it's also worth mentioning that World War I started in 1914, but America didn't officially get involved until 1917. Because, well, the number 1 seed in the tournament bracket always gets a bye the first round. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Winchester Model 1897 12-gauge shotgun, and its war crime consigliere, the Model 1917 bayonet, which apparently they let fucking Danny Trejo design. Now, this particular shotgun is very special because it's only the second pump-action shotgun ever made, and it did not incorporate a safety feature that is known as a trigger disconnect. Now, a trigger disconnect is what makes it so you have to pull the trigger every time to fire the shotgun. And since this particular shotgun is lacking that, you can just hold the trigger down and every time you pump it, it fires. Meaning that you can fire all 6 shells in a matter of seconds. Now, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, I'm telling you that the United States government gave a bunch of 18-year-old young men that hadn't seen women in months a gun whose only destructive capacity was limited by their ability to do this. Needless to say, it was pretty fucking effective. Now, that is a technique called slam firing, and when you combine the grunts with a gun that can do that, it immediately earned nicknames like the Trench Sweeper, the Trench Broom. This thing un-German engineered so many bad guys that they had to claim it was a war crime to use a shotgun. These were the same bad guys that were using flamethrowers and chemical warfare, so we just kept using them. At that point, the bad guys started a propaganda campaign claiming that the Americans were barbaric and unskilled with a rifle, and that's why they would use such a weapon. After that didn't work, they claimed that if they caught any Americans with a shotgun or shotgun shells, they would be executed. To which the American government basically responded with, if. Now, just for clarification, it is not and never has been a war crime to use a shotgun. But that is almost exclusively because the side America was on won. If the bad guys had won, they would almost certainly make it a war crime, because it's only a war crime if you lose. In conclusion, if you ever go toe-to-toe with an American grunt wielding a war crime stick, he's probably going to have a look in his eye like, I'm here to eat beef jerky and slam fire this shotgun, and if he doesn't have beef jerky, you're probably going to be in trouble. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. We have 4 new designs that are shirts and stickers, as well as some shirts in women's sizes now available at this link. If you're not on TikTok, that link is in the video description. So until next time, thanks for your service. Quack bang out. Today we're talking about snipers. This video is brought to you by Kristen, who wanted to give a shout out to all Navy corpsmen, past, future, and present. Hollywood does a terrible job at portraying this job. It is way less romantic and way more hardcore than most of the movies. Hollywood has a terrible way of making it seem like being a sniper is just a natural talent. There's nothing natural about being able to give somebody a long-range lobotomy from 1.5 miles away while you're dressed like a bush. This is a lot more hard work and developed skill than it is natural talent. First of all, Hollywood makes a spotter here, the guy with the telescope, seem like he's a sniper's caddy. He's not. He is also a sniper. You see, snipers function in pairs and they switch off on rolls to avoid eye fatigue. Hollywood also makes it seem like they just put the crosshairs on the bad guy and pull the trigger. That is not what happens. Before anybody ever pulls a trigger, they're doing calculations on every force of nature that can impact the flight of a bullet. And I mean everything, like the wind, distance to the thoracic cavity they're trying to ventilate, gravity, humidity, the Coriolis effect, which is the effect the rotation of the Earth has on a bullet in flight. What I'm trying to tell you is these guys know they're going to hit the target before they even pull the trigger. Because fucking science. Because you see, snipers are made up of the most dangerous thing in the universe. Grunts that know how to do math. Now, I talk a lot about grunts. But these grunts have a special place in my heart. These grunts are willing to crawl 0.5 mile an hour for 3 days to get to a target, just because Uncle Sam wants to make the shit personal. I mean, think about it. If the sniper can see you, Uncle Sam has other ways he can make you go away forever. And he can just call it the Air Force and put warheads on foreheads and be done with it. But nah. He's gonna let Bill Nye the Science Grunt take you out with a single bullet. I mean, the most commonly used sniper round is 7.62 by 51 millimeters, or as they call it on the moon, 308. That's like 68 cents a round. I'm trying to tell you, Uncle Sam's about to unalive you off the dollar menu. Yeah, science grunts will put bad guys in the dirt 2 for $1. But that's assuming they're using the standard 308. You see, if you upset the science grunts, maybe they'll break out this monstrosity of engineering. I present to you the 50 cal Barrett. You see, this one up here is a 308. This is a 50 cal round. This rifle shoots a round so big that it's not even considered anti-personnel. It's considered anti-material. See, if you get hit with a 308, you're gonna get a death certificate. You get hit with this double fister, you're not just gonna die. You're gonna be unborn. I'm trying to tell you, Galileo over here is gonna revoke your birth certificate from a different zip code. That's just the boomstick. The real weapon are the grunts. Those savages are willing to lay down for literal days at a time in a puddle of their own piss to hunt down the bad guys. These guys are so good at their job, they only shoot in between their heartbeats, because the beat of their heart might influence their trigger pull and make them miss. These guys have vision so clear they can see what the bad guy's lunch tastes like from 1.5 miles away. I mean, technically you don't have to have 20/20 vision to be a sniper, but it's kind of an unwritten rule. I mean, think about it. There's no rule against being an Amish electrician, but come the fuck on. In conclusion, if you upset Uncle Sam enough, you very well may have a guy in a George W. costume unalive you with an anti-material cannon. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. This, and this are all t-shirts now available at this link in my bio. And on TikTok, that link should be in the video description. Quack bang out. Today we're talking about machine gunners, and it's a lot, so pay attention. If you're in the Marine Corps, it's known as an 0331, and the Army doesn't have a special code for machine gunner, it's just an 11 Bravo infantryman that got voluntold to carry the big gun. Now, the role of the machine gunner is rapidly changing, with the Marine Corps transitioning to the M249 assault rifle, which is a fully automatic 30-round rifle, with the idea of being lighter and faster in mind. The Army, on the other hand, is considering doubling down on the traditional 249 by adding a literal backpack of bullets that feeds directly into the side of the gun, and it is apparently held together with duct tape. But today we're just talking about the traditional M249 SAW gunner. If you don't know, SAW stands for Squad Automatic Firing Weapon, and has a cyclic firing rate of 850 rounds per minute. It is belt fed with 200 round belts that are held in this little canvas baggie off the bottom, affectionately known as the nutsack. And it is the highest casualty producing gun in the United States military, which is partially due to the fact that it's a machine gun, but more so to do with the man behind it. You have to understand, nobody actually wants this job. While it might sound cool and romantic to be the machine gunner, and machine guns are fun to shoot, it is not fun to have to carry a machine gun up a fucking mountain. You have to realize the machine gun alone is almost 20 pounds. Then you have to carry a combat loadout of at least another 600 rounds of ammunition, adding another 20 pounds. We're talking 40 pounds of cordless hole punching technology alone, not including any food and water he has to carry on top of that. So put yourself in his shoes. You've been walking around carrying this heavy-ass gun for what seems like forever, and somebody finally picks a fight with you. Not only are you going to try to justify the fact that you've been carrying this enormous gun, you also have the underlying motivation of knowing that every single round you throw towards the enemy is one less round that you have to carry on your back to camp. I'm trying to tell you, this guy's motivated to hold that trigger down a little bit longer than he's supposed to. And when this guy gets called for holding, you are not getting 5 yards and a first down. You're probably going to get put in the ground. And that's on a good day. If you want to see a bad day, try firing at Doc. You see, Doc and the machine gunner have a special relationship because the machine gunner knows that if there's an ambush and somebody's going to get shot first, they're probably going to be aiming at him. Because, well, if you were a bad guy and you were going to ambush a bunch of grunts, wouldn't you want to take out the one with the big gun first? Makes sense, right? Which sucks for Doc, because if the machine gunner's down, that means there's no suppressing fire on the enemy, which is going to increase Doc's odds of getting shot when he goes to rescue the machine gunner. And Doc is willing to take that risk without question, which is why the machine gunner is extra protective of Doc. If you shoot at Doc in front of the machine gunner, you're going to have the longest, shortest day of your life. Because that machine gunner is going to ordain you. I'm trying to tell you, he's going to make you holy. You're going to die from rapid onset lead poisoning almost immediately. Even on the off chance that you're smart enough to take cover, but somehow dumb enough to shoot at Doc, you're still going to die. It's called the SAW, remember? He's going to try to cut through whatever you're hiding behind with bullets. And even if he can't, you're going to get flanked. So in conclusion, do not take out the officer, don't even look at Doc funny, and never give a machine gunner an excuse to do his job. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can buy me a beverage or buy yourself a shirt or some stickers at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out.